Wait. Johnny Depp is back? Yep, you heard that right. And not just kind of back, he's really back. Like, deeply, genuinely back. And to be honest, it's probably the best version of him we've seen in years. Sounds a little unbelievable, right? I mean, if you've been following his story even just a little bit, you might have thought the Hollywood chapter of his life was closed for good. After all the drama, the intense court cases, the endless tabloid headlines, the memes, the gossip, it just felt like too much. Like the whole thing had gone too far. Let's be real, most people figured he was done. Not because he stopped being talented. Not at all. But because the noise around his personal life got so loud, it seemed like there was no way he could just go back to being Johnny Depp the actor again. That name, that face, it became part of something bigger. Something messier. It wasn't about the roles anymore. It was about the drama. But here's the thing. Just when the world had kind of moved on, when the buzz quieted down, and people started looking elsewhere, Johnny Depp did something nobody expected. He came back. And not with a bang, not with some huge PR stunt or flashy action movie. No. His return was quiet. Thoughtful. Honestly, kind of beautiful. And now, people everywhere are realizing, this wasn't just another role. This was a moment. A real, human, heartfelt moment that reminded us why we loved him in the first place. Hey there. Welcome back to the channel. If you're someone who loves a good redemption arc, a story that gets under your skin and really stays with you, then this one's going to hit home. Today, we're diving into Johnny Depp's unexpected return to acting in 2025. We'll talk about what happened behind the scenes, what changed, and why this comeback feels so different, so personal. And there's a moment in this story that might just change the way you look at him forever. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Okay, let's go back a bit, because to understand the power of this comeback, you really have to remember how far things had fallen. We're talking years of public tension. His divorce. The lawsuits. The endless media coverage. It was overwhelming. For him, for fans, even for people who weren't that into celebrity news. You couldn't escape it. His name was everywhere, and not for the right reasons. And through all of that, there was this strange silence in his work. He wasn't doing interviews. He wasn't showing up in movies. He just sort of faded out. Not completely, he still made appearances here and there, especially overseas, but for the most part, it was like Johnny had stepped off the stage. And people were wondering, is this it? Is he ever coming back? But that silence? It wasn't giving up. It was breathing space. It was the calm after the storm. You see, instead of trying to jump back into the spotlight and prove something, Johnny chose to walk away from it for a while. He went to Europe. Played music. Spent time with his band. Painted. Connected with close friends. Did the things he used to love, things that had nothing to do with Hollywood. And that kind of time? That kind of personal retreat? It matters. Because sometimes you can't fix things by forcing them. You've got to let the dust settle. You've got to step back, look around, and ask yourself, who am I, really, when the cameras are off? That's what Johnny did. He wasn't trying to win fans back or score a blockbuster deal. He was just trying to find peace. And honestly, that's something a lot of us can relate to. Whether you're famous or not, we all have those moments in life where everything feels loud. Where people expect too much. Where you just need to take a break from being what everyone else wants you to be, and remember who you are. That's what this phase of Johnny's life was all about. Then, early in 2025, something shifted. Quietly. Almost secretly. People started hearing whispers, Johnny Depp was working on something new. But this wasn't some Marvel movie or huge franchise reboot. It was a small film. A quiet one. The kind of movie most people would probably scroll past if they saw the poster online. No explosions. No superheroes. Just a man, a story, and a lot of emotion. The movie focused on a character going through a personal crisis. A man who had lost everything, and was slowly, painfully, trying to piece his life back together. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't showy. But it was powerful. Because it was real. And for anyone who's followed Johnny's story over the years, it felt almost too real. Like he wasn't playing the part. He was the part. That's what made it so moving. You weren't watching a performance. You were watching someone open up, on screen, but also inside. The role wasn't just about acting. It was about healing. And for viewers, it felt like being let into something deeply personal. A man who had been through the fire, choosing to tell that story through his art. That takes courage. And people noticed. Critics, some of whom had pretty much written him off, started changing their tone. They weren't just saying, "Hey, he's still got it." They were saying, "We've never seen him like this before." Fans were emotional. The reviews weren't just about the film, they were about the performance, the vulnerability, the truth of it all. And the wildest part? He wasn't doing anything big. He wasn't delivering dramatic speeches or huge emotional breakdowns. He was quiet. Still. Honest. That's what made it powerful. Sometimes the most powerful performances are the ones that whisper instead of shout. Now, let's talk about what really made this comeback work. Because it wasn't just luck. It wasn't just timing. It was intentional. Thoughtful. Smart. First off, he didn't force it. He waited. For years. He didn't sign on to the first big script that came his way. He didn't try to capitalize on the attention or rush out a comeback film just to prove he still could. He waited until the moment felt right. Until he felt right. That kind of patience? That's rare. Especially in entertainment, where everyone's rushing to be relevant, to stay in the spotlight. But Johnny didn't play that game. He slowed things down. And in the end, it worked in his favor. Second, he didn't try to be someone else. He didn't come back with some wild new look or completely different type of role just to reinvent himself. He came back as himself. He leaned into who he really was. The pain. The growth. The wisdom. He didn't need to pretend anymore. He just needed to be. And that brings us to something really important. Acting isn't always about becoming someone else. A lot of the time, the hardest part of acting is being yourself, truthfully, completely, on camera. Letting people see who you are through your character. That's what Johnny did here. And that's what made people stop and pay attention. The film itself? Like we said, it wasn't a big production. It was an indie European drama. A small crew. Modest budget. No big studios attached. But it didn't need any of that. What it had was soul. Heart. And the freedom to tell a story without all the noise. And you know what? That's something a lot of us forget. Bigger isn't always better. You don't need millions of followers or a huge stage to make something meaningful. Sometimes the smallest spaces give you the most room to be yourself. That's what Johnny found. That's what made the difference. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Because Johnny's story isn't just about one man getting another chance. It's about what we can learn from it. And there's a lot to take away. First, reinvention doesn't always mean changing everything. Sometimes, it's about peeling back the layers. Letting go of who the world thinks you are, and getting back to who you really are inside. That's what Johnny did. And maybe that's why this comeback felt so right. Because it wasn't about creating a new version of himself. It was about showing the version that had always been there, just hidden beneath the noise. Second, timing is everything. You can't rush healing. You can't fake growth. And if you try to push through too quickly, people will see right through it. Johnny waited. And when he came back, it wasn't just that people were ready for him. He was ready for himself. That kind of timing, that honesty with yourself, is what makes the difference. And finally, don't underestimate the power of subtlety. Of stillness. Of vulnerability. We're so used to big moments and loud performances. But Johnny showed us that sometimes the quietest scenes are the ones that stay with you. That honesty? That's what hits the hardest. So now I wanna ask you. What's a celebrity comeback that really stayed with you? One that made you stop and say, wow. That took guts. That took heart. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what moments moved you the most. And hey, if this story gave you something to think about, something to feel, then I hope you'll stick around. Because we've got more stories like this. More comebacks. More underdog wins. More moments that remind us it's never too late to start again. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It really helps us keep telling stories like this. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is your sign. Join the community. We've got plenty more coming your way. Thanks so much for watching. And remember, your story's not over. No matter where you are, no matter what you've been through, your next chapter could be the one that changes everything. Just like Johnny.